What's up, CineNerds?
I am JP.
And I'm Ryan. We're here to indulge your whimsical pleasures or your thoughts about certain movies and characters. And I don't even know where the fuck I'm going with that, but we're going to start like that.
Well, what did I make you watch this time?
JP chose an interesting one. It's called Under the Rainbow. It's a 1981 film with Chevy Chase and Carrie Fisher and a lot of little people. And it is focused around, it's like a fictionalized take on what happened during the auditions for Little People for Wizard of Oz. So it was interesting to say the least. And if I can be frank, first impressions, What was the movie that we watched with that James had me watch that I gave so much grief about? Was it America's Sweethearts?
America's Sweethearts, something.
Yeah, and so without the little people, strong vibe of that. Like that movie stole a lot from this, if I'm being honest. Like gets everyone together in one spot, things happen.
I can see that, but
a little bit.
I guess with James's America's Sweethearts, that was one that I was dozing in and out of because I was so bored that I didn't realize.
Listen, if Carrie Fisher didn't get down to her skivvies in this, I would have been pretty bored too. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie at all on that one.
Well, this film is actually Chevy Chase and Carrie Fisher both have stated that this is the one movie they both regret making and how much they hate this film.
I guarantee it's because of they're trying to be woke in their statements with that, because there's a lot of offensive little people things in this. But to be fair, this is that era, like this is like post Blazing Saddles era. Like so, yeah. This is that they're going for that same vibe.
It has almost like a less comedy version of a Mel Brooks film.
Yes, well, I think that was one of my biggest, so I didn't dislike it, don't get me wrong, but one of my biggest gripes is, Chevy Chase bored the shit out of me in this movie.
Yeah, it's awful. It's not a typical Chevy Chase film. Like, it's not as funny, but there's subtle comedy. It's like the things that they do say that's funny is really subtle, and you have to be, like, listening for it to catch it. So, I mean, he's not at his funniest, and the comedy isn't as funny, but then every now and then it is, but it's quick, and if you don't catch it, then it's just another scene.
So just to give a little bit of context here, we already told you the gist of it, but if you haven't seen this, do yourself a favor, stop this, pause it, go watch, and then come back to it. And I only say that because I encourage everyone to watch all the films we're watching so you understand what we're saying, but there is one particular moment that I will give all the humor in the world to. It is the elevator scene. The elevator guy, the elevator crashes and he comes out like one of the little people. I was dying. I thought it was great, but it was still a little. But
this and I chose this movie because this is one of those movies that people. It seems like people do not know it exists.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I had no idea until you told me.
And this is a movie I saw when I was a kid, and I just thought it was a fun, silly movie whenever I was younger. And as I got older and I saw it, I was like, okay, this is a fun movie to keep in the background, and kind of just have on as I'm doing other shit. And it's still just kind of a fun movie, even though I know it's a horrible movie.
I've seen a lot worse.
Oh no, it's not. It's not as bad as America's Sweethearts.
I was waiting for you to say another movie, so I'll take it. We'll run with that.
You know what? He's not here, so that's the one I'm going to name.
Fine, sounds good to me. I took a lot of flack for mine. Anyways, we won't talk about it. So. There's a certain character in this who I want to talk about, Bill Barty. He was in Time Bandits, and that to me, first of all, I won't watch this series that they put out because there's no little people, and that was part of the magical.
Was also in Willow.
Well, I get that, but Time Bandits to me,
Masters of the Universe.
Yes, he was Orko, not Orko. What's his name? Gimli.
It was a different name, but he was kind of the Orko kind of. I can't remember what they named him in Masters of the Universe.
Well,
I will look it up.
Regardless, so he was in Time Bandits, and for
Gwildor.
Gwildor. That's right. And they did bring him, they fused him back into the storyline and the actual cartoons later on after that movie was made. But Bill Barty, though, he has a very unique persona when it comes to little people acting in movies, and it's such a big persona for such a little dude. Time Bandits always will stand in my mind as a solid memory growing up. It definitely was one of those fun movies I wasn't expecting. I saw on HBO when I was a little kid, and it just stood with me. But there's a scene in this where because he works for Hitler in this, and he has a Hitler mustache, and it's in the beginning sequences, and he's trying to sieg Heil Hitler, and he takes a cane right into Hitler's balls.
Yeah,
and I was dying laughing there too.
I think he's great in this film.
I do too.
And he actually won a Razzie for his performance.
Yeah, but what was that Razzie? Wasn't he?
It was like...
oh, no, it wasn't him. That was the other one. Because there's a couple of Razzies that were quite unique.
Yeah.
In this. So I wrote these down. They were nominated at the Razzie Awards for Worst Musical Score and Worst Supporting Actor. Yeah, Bill Barty.
Yeah, it was a supporting actor. Yeah.
But it was worst. It wasn't a good thing. So I do think that he was a large personality for sure. Another thing cool that was kind of cool that I didn't know was that there is an actor named Jerry Marin who he was in this 1981, but he also was one of the original Lollipop Guild.
Yeah.
So they were able to bring a little person, which their life expectancy isn't around 80 like most people. So when he was able to come back from Wizard of Oz to this 1981, I think that was pretty impressive.
It was also Zelda Rubinstein, or however you say her name, the woman from Poltergeist.
Oh yeah, she was in it. That's right.
This was her debut film.
I forgot about that. I saw her in the hotel, and I was like, "Hey, that's." I didn't know her name, but that's yeah. There was a couple others too in this. I thought. Let's see. No, I didn't. That was another movie we watched that I had there's a bunch of cameos I wasn't expecting, but yeah, that was the big one on that for me. I forgot about Zelda.
Yeah. The
Carol Ann.
Carol Ann.
Step into the light, Carol Ann. Oh, and then my other favorite line from Poltergeist, we're going to deviate a little here. This house is cleansed. Your house is not cleansed.
Yeah.
But
Court Herbert, the main little person that's throughout this film, I loved him in this film.
Oh, yeah. The like main little person.
Yeah.
So he the sword fight between him and Bill was pretty stellar. There was a sword fight to start, and then he had the sharpening stick, the kitchen like sharpening stick, and he sharpens his sword on it and slices the saw. That was good. I don't know. I had fun with that one. What else? Carrie Fisher, when she's in the cooler or in the freezer with just her underwear on, that was pretty spectacular. I did put a note here. That's kind of funny. I put Chevy Chase kind of sucks in this.
He is one of the weaker points of this film.
So one of the things I wanted to look up was I didn't know if there was any, I didn't know the extent of the truth around this gathering, because I know that it was based on actual events, but it was just loosely based.
It was inspired by rumored events.
Okay.
And that they did film this movie in the hotel that housed these little people
under the rainbow
while they were filming The Wizard of Oz. But the hotel was no longer active when they filmed this movie. But they did film in the original hotel. But it was based on rumored events of what happened. Now, I think it's come out that all those rumors of all the cast of the little people from The Wizard of Oz supposedly destroyed this hotel and had orgies and just had all this craziness happen in this hotel. And I think it came out later that none of this stuff actually happened.
I can see it because given the time that was filmed, I could see people, especially people that live nearby or like in the vicinity, seeing those kind of things and just running wild in their head, thinking these things and making rumors happen.
Yeah.
So I could see that.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else did I have? Lollipop Guild member, the Jerry Merrim, he is Dink in Spaceballs. I did not know that, and I was kind of intrigued by that, so that was kind of cool. But no, this movie altogether, this movie was not horrible. It wasn't anything magical by any means. There were quite a few scenes and sequences like they really reminded me of Mel Brooks style humor, like the assassin who couldn't deliver the mission. There's an assassin who's trying to kill Ferdinand's, I guess the last surviving Ferdinand, right? What was it? Not the Archduke, right?
Yeah, the assassin. His name was Robert Donner.
Right, the actor, but the character that he was trying to assassinate was Franz Ferdinand's son,
the Duke.
The Duke, but I thought it was. So it wasn't. Am I wrong in my history here? Am I fucking up? Is it Franz Ferdinand was the one who got assassinated to begin World War I, or was it II?
I think that was.
You guys are going to correct us in the comments.
Yeah, you're going to correct us in the comments, but I think it was.
Because I
feel like it was II, but
I think it was one.
But the time period for this where this movie's supposed to be would make more sense, I think. It's
right,
39.
But there was a line in it. There was something like, "I'm the last surviving Ferdinand," and he was paranoid about the assassination. So I'm thinking that this was a descendant, son, I don't know, grandson, whatever.
I don't know. We'll have to correct us if you guys know.
Please, let us
know. I do remember this, and I want to say from my history stuff that I learned in school, I believe it was World War II.
What started World War One? Let's go with one. No, I was right. Cool. World War I began with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria.
Okay.
So this was a fictionalized character to revolve that around. The fact that they went through that many dogs, too, by the way,
that's like one of the greatest gags in this film.
I feel like the failed assassin and the dog are pretty damn good. Yeah, those definitely are fun.
Because the Duke has backup dogs, because the dogs his wife have always end up dying, and like multiple dogs end up dying in weird playful ways through this film, and he always has to go get another dog to replace it.
My favorite though is, so there's a sequence in a dining area where the assassin has put poison in a champagne flute, and he's hoping it goes to the Duke, and when it goes to the Duke, there's a mix-up, so it goes to an Oriental gentleman. Asian gentleman, shouldn't say Oriental anymore, Ryan. Anyways, it goes to the Asian gentleman who they think is Japanese, because the small guy, Bill Barty, his character was to hear a certain phrase. It was the pearl
is in the river.
The pearl is in the river.
And the Duke's wife drops her pearl in her food, which her food is liver. And he is yelling at her.
A stereotype comes through.
Yeah. The pearl's in the liver. And
you get an R and 7L.
Yeah.
So it's misheard essentially, and Bill Barty's character starts talking with a wrong Japanese man, and from there, they're unknowing that the poison is with the Japanese guy. So the Japanese guy, by the time they're done with this whole process, he's drank the drink, he's face down in his pasta, and the dog then gets the remaining part of that.
Yeah, they spill the drink on the floor, and then the dog comes up and starts licking it, and takes about 2 steps and falls over.
And Chevy Chase is just dragging him, going, "Come on, why aren't?" Oh, it's so good. But that's, again, one of many deaths. Accidental shooting in the dark.
One jumps out the window.
I'm actually shocked one of those didn't, like, I was waiting for one of those dogs, like, however they played it out, to become Toto in the cast. So Carrie Fisher, her boss, the character of Carrie Fisher in this movie, her boss basically says, "Hey, you're going to get a promotion. You need to get together these 150 little people, and you're going to be in charge of them, and we're going to get through this. And find a dog, too." So they're basically trying to find Toto as well. So I thought that one of those dogs was going to become Toto. Excuse me.
And she never found the dog by the end of the movie, did she? For play Toto, but yeah. You also have Mako.
Mako?
The character, the Asian character, that is the the Japanese secret.
He's the actual one.
He's the actual one.
He's a well-known actor too.
Yeah.
Who was he?
His name's Mako.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, that's what.
Well, you know Mako by his face, if nothing else.
He has been in all kinds of stuff. I'll pull his IMDb up right now. He's in. Oh yeah, he's the Wizard in Conan the Barbarian. He's in Pearl Harbor, Conan the Destroyer, 7 Years to Bet. He's voiced Splinter in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He is a very famous Asian actor. He's in hundreds of TV shows and films, so I'm sure a lot of you know who he is. He's in RoboCop 3, Sidekicks. There's all kinds of. He's got a massive IMDb, but yeah, he plays the main Japanese spy that is trying to meet the one that's actually supposed to be meeting up with the German Billy Barty.
You know what's funny? You just said RoboCop 3. I clearly remember RoboCop 1 and 2. RoboCop 3 is escaping me completely.
I only remember it because they give RoboCop a jetpack.
So they make him BoboCop.
Essentially.
Outstanding.
I love the RoboCop films, especially 1 and 2. Very specifically, I love part 1, but part 3 is kind of
Yeah, I mean, I love the mech sequence too. That was the end of the first one, right?
The what?
The mech, the two-legged AT-AT looking thing.
Oh yeah. He shows up in part 2 as well.
Yeah, they did they tried to put a brain inside of it, right?
Well, no, the original one, they have an original version of him, but then they do the newer version with they put the drug dealer's brain in the mech, but the original one had a problem with stairs.
That's right.
Yeah, he couldn't walk downstairs.
And Red Foreman was like, "Dumbass." Anyways, back to the rainbow.
There was one. I'm trying to find it now because I had it in here. Here it is. One little trivia fact about this film, but I never called it. And reading it on here, I was like, "Oh yeah, that does say that." In the film, there's an acronym for the Japanese people that wrecked their car, and there's like a whole crowd of them that come off to stay at the hotel.
Oh, the ones that all get shot in the elevator?
Yeah. The acronym is JAPS.
Oh.
But it stands for Japanese Amateur Photography Society. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is exactly what I'm talking about with why Carrie Fisher and Chevy Chase regret this movie. Yeah.
It says in real life, Japs is a derogatory word used to refer to Japanese people before, during, and after World War II. So yeah, they use that as an acronym for them.
So I'm gonna go serious on this right now. I'm gonna give a little memory for Ryan. So I used to be a steel worker, and when I was a steel worker, I was like one of the youngest kids in the plant, and I was 19. And there was an older gentleman at the time. He was 49. His name was Rich. Rich was a Vietnam veteran. And when the mill rolling pins, when they would not stay cool, the molten material that's coming through the pins would harden and it would make the rolls back up. The material would go everywhere, and it usually would cause this loud thudding sound. And when we were young kids, as young kids play, you would hear things in movies and say things like Charlie. So when the rolls backed up the one night, I was a dumb kid and I was trying to impress all these older people I worked with, and I yelled, "Charlie, Charlie!" And Rich was the most profoundly respectful person I have ever met in my life, because he walked over and he took time to goes, "Ryan, please sit down. Let me tell you why that wasn't funny." And I'll never forget it as long as I live, because he schooled me like in the best way possible, in the most kind way possible, and it stayed with me forever. So it's one of those moments where you think about the things you say before you do them. And this movie clearly didn't do a lot of that.
Oh no. Well, it was 1981.
Yeah,
they didn't actually care back then.
No, I mean, there definitely is a difference in movie making now versus back then, and the sensitivities and the woke aspects are all very relevant, and we understand that now. So hopefully these types of movies, though, don't see an end in sight, because these movies teach us how to be better.
Well, yeah, and and a lot of these old movies, you have to look at them for the time period. Are they offensive by today's standards? Yeah. This can be a pretty offensive movie. So is Blazing Saddles. So is Police Academy.
Tropic Thunder.
The original Police Academy. Oh my God! You go back and watch that film now, and it's like,
oh yeah, it's right in the vein of Airplane and all that too. Yeah. Airplane is another one. But Tropic Thunder, I'm actually shocked at that one. But I love how the actors all are in unison with defending it and the purpose behind it. I felt like that movie was excellent, well done, and there was a great chemistry between all the actors that were there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I mean, in every film I just named, I still recommend people to watch them. They're great. They're great films.
You have to understand those.
But you have to understand it's a different time period.
Can you imagine? I'm so all right. So what is Mel Brooks? 98 right now?
I think he's 100.
No, he's 90. I think he's 98. Because I got concerned. I looked it up. By the time it comes out, he'll be 100 if he makes it. But he is working. We all know. We've all heard by now. He's working on Spaceballs 2.
He's not directing it though.
He's not directing on it, but he's definitely creatively.
He's creatively involved, but he's not directing.
But I just can't see how they can deliver it the same way as the first one without offending everyone. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. I love Mel Brooks films, which is another reason why I actually enjoy Under the Rainbow, because to me it kind of has
it has that vibe for sure.
It has a Mel Brooks vibe.
Just Chevy Chase wasn't funny.
Yeah, and I love Mel Brooks movies. I love silent movies. Silent movie is one of my favorites. And you have Young Frankenstein and obviously Spaceballs.
I wouldn't mind doing a whole episode dedicated to Gene Wilder. Like did
you watch that documentary?
It's in my queue. I want to see it so bad.
There's a documentary on. Is it on Netflix?
Yes.
It's what is the name of it? It's
Hold on, I'll tell you because it's right in
my
queue.
It is a documentary on Gene Wilder, the life of Gene Wilder, and it is so good. I watched it pretty recently. It's been probably within the past week or two that I actually watched this documentary, and man, if you're a Gene Wilder fan, it is something to watch because it goes from the start of his career till the end of his career, and it's an emotional.
Just remembering Gene Wilder.
Remembering Gene Wilder.
And like my first intro to Gene Wilder, like many other people, was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I'll tell you what, man, he was just kind of Willy Wonka to start, but when he did the boat ride,
it was terrifying.
It was terrifying, but it was glorious at the same time to me. Like, and the way he composed himself and the delivery for film, like just there's no earthly way of knowing, and it was so good. And then you fast forward to how that inspired Marilyn Manson on their first album with the boat ride. Like, holy shit! Like, talk about night and day, but very, very amazing.
And I don't honestly remember if that was I think that was the first Gene Wilder movie I saw when I was a kid. It was either that or Young Frankenstein. And I saw them both. I feel like I saw them both pretty close to the same time. And now I can't remember which one I watched first, but I love Gene Wilder.
The only reason I saw Young Frankenstein was because of the movie. Do you remember Young Einstein?
I love Young Einstein.
That movie came out in the 80s, and I was looking for it.
Yahoo Serious.
Yeah, Yahoo Serious. What a name, dude. That was great. But that movie came out, and I remember we went to the store to rent something later that year, and they were next to each other. So I opted to get Young Frankenstein because I wanted to see it, and I saw Gene Wilder. So definitely a good moment.
You chose wisely. It's way better than Young Einstein. I do love Young Einstein, though.
Different vibes altogether.
Yeah. But I also love Young Sherlock. Did you ever see that one?
No, I don't think so.
It was an 80s film, and it's a really great film. It is called Young Sherlock Holmes. And, yeah, it's a solid movie. It's actually kind of borderline gateway horror.
Did I tell you about Elementary? Have we talked about that yet?
I think we might have at some point.
So it's the dude from Hackers, and he's
I know.
Sherlock.
It's Johnny Lee Miller. Yeah,
and to me, him and oh my goodness, why did I have a brain fart?
The girl from Kill Bill.
Yeah, she's I can't believe I'm forgetting her name.
I can't think of her name right now.
No.
Yeah, it's oh god.
I don't know. All I know is she was super hot, and she plays Watson in this.
Yeah.
And the reason I like Elementary is because it's the most real, pure kind of form of a character that's been over fictionalized through the years. And he's an addict. He's dealing with mental struggles. He's not. I mean, that's Sherlock in a nut. But
well, it is.
In this film, it gets so dark, though,
Yeah.
like where he's actually going through withdrawal and he's doing the whole process of getting off drugs. Like, it's a whole thing, and it's insane.
They do a lot of that in the BBC Sherlock
Right.
too, as well, which is my favorite Sherlock because I love Benedict, and
I do
that,
too.
That whole series is top notch with
And
him.
Moriarty in that series is phenomenal, too.
Greatest on-screen Moriarty we've ever had.
Well, I implore you to see Elementary.
I've started to watch it a time or two.
Yeah, it's definitely solid.
So, back to Under the Rainbow. I don't know where we left off at. We got on the tangent.
Talking
We've
all
been
over
on a
about
tangent.
Cause really, we were left off talking about how it's kind of similar in its impacts, like Mel Brooks movies.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you like Mel Brooks films, then I would suggest watch this film. You know, I mean, it's not going to be the funniest movie, but it's a fun movie. If you like The Wizard of Oz, even though it has nothing to do with The Wizard of Oz, but it does.
It kind of does.
It kind of does.
You see the little people destroying the Wizard of Oz set in the Emerald
And
City.
that set design is amazing.
Yes, it is. It was
like
awesome.
that recreated set design for the Emerald City was great. It would look great on screen here.
If anyone does a recreation or a new approach or a fictionalized something of Wizard of Oz in the near future, I hope to God they implement something with the hanging man in the background.
Yeah,
because that was that first time I saw that was the first legit gave me chills in a movie.
That is in there, and they say it's not, but no,
I've
shit is
I've
in
seen
there.
It numerous
is in
times.
there.
It's definitely
now
in there.
I think the newer releases of it, they've edited it out.
That would be a shame.
I'm pretty sure it's been edited out because I can't find it on any of the newer DVD releases. But all those old VHS releases, it's fucking in there.
That one I believe more than the Three Men and a Baby. That one was just a cardboard cutout. That was stupid.
What was the Three Men and a Baby?
It was the guy. They pan one scene across. There isn't anyone in the window. They pan back and there's this kid leaning on the window, but it looks like Tom Hanks' cardboard cutout or something because he's even standing like this. It's just too clear and too.
I remembered something about that, but I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah, I don't know. But definitely there's some definite creepy elements to Wizard of Oz, and this movie definitely gave some fun insights to the background in a fictionalized approach, obviously, and poked fun where it could. I felt like overall there were some things that could have been better, but it was for the most part tasteful.
Yeah, no, it's a fun little movie.
Another little tidbit: the intro theme song. When this movie's credits are rolling, they're getting it all hyped up. It's one of the lyrics is "Things are looking up." I was just like, "Is that a poke at the little people too?" I don't know. So it was good though.
Did you look up box office?
I didn't on this one. I did not, and I can't imagine it was good. It's got to be a nightmare.
Well, since you didn't look it up, I'm gonna kind of trivia on this one.
Oh boy. All
okay,
right,
what do you think the budget for this film was?
81.
I think it's expensive for 81.
I could see that for 81. 17 mil.
You were close. 18 million was the budget.
Damn! I swear to God, I didn't look it up. Nothing.
Box office. You have a guess on it?
3.
3 million?
Yeah.
It did a little better than that.
Well, I mean, the names probably carried it.
It had a budget of 18 million, and the box office was 18.8 million.
Oh, okay, so just broke even.
Yeah, it kind of broke. It was considered a bomb, a failure for the studio. So yeah, it really didn't make any money.
I'm curious about that. So it's something I've never really looked up. There has to be a continued formula for like a percentage-based return that they deem acceptable for moving forward with a film to go like make a sequel or something. I'm just curious what that formula is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Especially for back then. I mean, I don't know. I guess if it made money, depending on the size of the studio, probably was a factor. Because I'm sure it was different for Universal versus Canon Films.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
All
I
right.
just realized this is sticking up in the air here. All right. Favorite parts of the film?
Well, I love the whole scene where you have the main character. What was his name? The one I said I really liked.
The little person.
Little person. The one was played by Cork Herbert, Rollo, or however you say his name. With him and the girl that was just chilling in the little wasn't a laundry chute, but like the little elevator for
the food. The waiter, dumb waiter. Yeah.
They're just chilling in that little elevator, and everybody's partying. They come in, and then it falls into the sword fight shortly after. You know, in there, I love the sword fight. The whole chase scene, I'm glad. I wanted to talk about this because I actually felt bad for Bill Bartley in that chase scene. If you really watched him, it looked painful for him to run. Did you actually look at him while he was running?
All throughout. There was I'm pretty sure they had a stunt double for a lot of the scenes. I thought about the same thing too, because he has a specific lean, and I think it's I think his left hip and leg go out further than the right side.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like curved, almost like a C or something. So his running he could do it, but it definitely, you're right, did not look pleasant.
Yeah, no, he looked like he was in pain, and that whole. But I love the chase scene. The chase scene feels very old Hollywood, and that's what I like about this film. It feels old Hollywood.
It reminded me of like if they would have fast forwarded it, and put put some kind of little thing on it, like circling around each other. You know, it would have been good.
Yeah, it's a fun scene. I mean, they're chasing on feet, then he gets in a car, and Corky's character gets on the horse and buggy, and they're chasing each other through the studio.
Horses get snapped off, you can't control it, and crashes into the Emerald City.
And all this is happening through the film studio, so it's kind of very Pee Wee Herman, Big Adventure-ish.
Yeah,
with that chase
analogy.
scene, but it was before Pee Wee's Big Adventure, but it felt very similar to that.
For sure, I can see that. You want to guess my favorite scene?
I'm gonna say it's the half-naked Carrie Fisher.
You fucking nailed it.
And that's definitely a great scene.
Listen, all I'm gonna say is I didn't care how old Carrie Fisher was. If I ever had the opportunity to meet her, my wife would have forgave me, because she can do no wrong. She ages beautifully and gracefully as possible. She was amazing. That was my first crush as a kid, and I was 6, and I see her in that sleeve. Anyways, I digress. I would say that the sword sequence was pretty good, and I love, because I laughed way too hard, way more than I should have, the elevator guy. When the elevator dropped and he came out a little person from a regular person to a little person, I was dead. That was good.
I love the one that really tiny little person that was originally got in the elevator first thing, and then he like scared the elevator operator when he came out. But he's in the chase scene, and you would recognize him when you go back and watch it, because he is like the smallest person on screen through this whole film.
I think I know what you're talking about.
But in the chase scene, they get to the room with all the naked women, and like everybody runs through it, and he like runs to the door, closes it, and turns back around and walks back in with the girls.
That's right. I forgot about that. That was good. That was excellent. There's this one of those movies that, as you think back, there's these little tiny pieces that were gold.
That's what I'm saying. There's little things. All the jokes on this, there's little things. If you blink, you'll miss them. But if you go back and watch them, it's like, okay, that's actually really smart and really kind of funny.
Except for Chevy Chase.
except for Chevy Chase. He actually has a few lines here and there, but it's if you don't listen for them, they're gone and you miss them.
I know, but even when I was listening, I was still trying to like grasp too hard. I was like, I don't even recognize you right now, Chevy. So,
no, it's definitely one of his worst performances. His less comedic performances.
I'm gonna apologize in advance for what I'm about to say. So I'm very sorry if anyone's offended by this, but I have a deep-seated. There are two things that I have to do before I die. One of them is hire a little person, put them in a Velcro suit with a Velcro wall, and just let me throw. Let me throw it like darts. I have to do it. Please. I mean, maybe I could use my nephew. I don't know. Maybe I don't need a little person, but I have to do that. And then the other one is, I want to spontaneously, not as a hired scenario, those people who dress up in like the squirrel outfits out front of like loan places and stuff like that. I want to tackle the shit out of one of them. Just bulldoze. But those are the inner thoughts coming out. We keep them contained.
You want to be one of those guys that just attacks random mascots.
Specifically the tax place ones, though, because like they're usually dressed as like Statue of Liberty or a squirrel, and I feel like they need to go down.
So no Pokemon.
Listen, I have within my possession a picture of little Nicky with his eyes on fire, and it says, "Why won't you get in the ball?" Just for you. But anyways.
Alrighty. Ratings.
Okay, this is your pick, so I'll go here. All right. Well, based on Carrie Fisher, 5. No, I'm just kidding. This movie was definitely lighthearted. It was definitely, I would say this is a safe one to have anyone in the family watch and maybe even use some examples of what is appropriate and what's not when you're doing so. This movie was kind of fun, a little slow for me, but kind of fun. I had to keep reminding myself it was 1981. I also had to remind myself that it wasn't a Mel Brooks movie because it had very similar tendencies. But all in all, it wasn't a bad watch. I don't regret it. Nothing spectacular for me out of this, though. I'll go 2.8 nerds.
Okay, so my thing with this, and like I said, this was my pick. I like this movie, and I think anybody, if you're like, I think I was saying earlier, was if you like The Wizard of Oz, you like Chevy Chase, you like Carrie Fisher, you like Mel Brooks style films, especially old Hollywood style films that feel like Mel Brooks, watch this movie. You're gonna have fun with it. Are you gonna love it? Probably not. Yeah, and that's the thing. I really enjoy this film, but it's not a film that I love. This is a movie that I put on in the background and I watch for certain scenes, you know.
That's fair.
And I get enjoyment out of it. That being said, I'm actually going to rate lower than you.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm going to go in at a 2.4.
Okay.
Because it's not a great movie, and I can fully accept that it's not a great movie, but it's a fun movie, and I'd still, even at a low rating, I feel like it's a movie that if you're a fan of this style of movie, I encourage you to watch this movie at least once.
If you're a fan of Chevy Chase, don't watch it. If you're a fan of Carrie Fisher, watch it.
I'm also a fan of Carrie Fisher.
Yes. How can you not be, dude? Oh my goodness. Anyways, all right. So, 3 CineNerds. I haven't had to say this in a minute.
I had to say it the last 2 episodes.
Well, thank you, by the way, Rick Bolton, for stepping in and filling in for me while I was out. I had to have a little departure for a minute for some family fun, but I'm back, and thank you, Rick. We appreciate you greatly. But 3cinenerds@gmail.com. Sorry you had to say that, JP. Is our email. So please email us any questions, comments, concerns. And also, if you go on our Facebook page, you can look into the bio and you can see our link tree that'll take you to a plethora of listening options for you for the podcast. And then also our merch link is on there as well if you'd like to get some 3cinenerds swag.
Like, share, subscribe, write a review. Please, I'm looking at our numbers on Apple Podcast, and there's a lot of listeners on there. Go write us a review. Or are you just not listening to this
Wait a minute.
long to catch my spiel on reviews.
Are you telling me that people listen to our nonsense?
A few people.
That's kind of cool.
A few people.
Thanks for dealing with us. We appreciate it.
But please, just leave us a review. Invite your friends. That's the big things.
Cool. All right. Well, then, we're your CineNerds.
Later.
Later.